Hello, everyone. I'm Lukasz Dobek, and I'm a software engineer here at Noble9. And in this talk, we'll go through what service level objectives actually are, how to set your targets, and how to actually achieve them. So we'll start with deciphering the term service level objectives, and we'll go through word by word. So services are a non-physical, intangible parts of economy, as opposed to goods which we can touch or handle. The action of helping or doing work for someone. Basically, in this presentation, services will be related to software strictly. Level is a position on a scale of amount, quantity, extent, or quality. The amount or number of something. And the objective is a thing aimed at or sought, a goal, something toward which effort is directed. So it all comes together to a term service level objectives. So you can say that SLOs basically are objectives set to ensure a specific level of service. So in this talk, we'll focus mostly on SLOs related to reliability and SLOs that are customer-centric. So I believe there will be plenty of SLOconf talks that might tackle SLOs from a different side, but here we'll focus on the basics, basically. How to set your goals. I would say that the first thing to understand is that the perfect is the enemy of good. And here you can see a little Michael's quote, because I'm a big of his fan, so you might see it come around with this presentation a couple of times. So the perfect is the enemy of good is actually a French phrase. And what does it actually mean? It means that it takes a lot of time and effort to achieve perfection, and even then, it might never come. So as your effort increases, the results diminish, and the further activity becomes increasingly inefficient. I would say that rather than striving for perfection, you should think about being good enough for most of the time. So what is that your users actually need? Do your users expect a perfect service? I wouldn't say so, because computers break. Software is not perfect, as we are not perfect. So you should focus on being good enough, actually. How to measure your SLOs, how to set the goal. I would say that service level indicators are a major part of SLOs. So we'll do something along the lines that we did with SLOs. We will decipher the term. And so we actually know what services and levels are. So we'll go into indicator definition. And it is a thing that indicates the state or a level of something. Something that shows what a situation is like. So service level indicator comes to basically being an indicator that measures aspects of the level of a service. And I would say that the best indicators are the customer-centric ones. So there are three common service level indicators. They are latency, error rate, and availability. And taking the latency as an example, if your API responds with like 10 seconds latency, that's probably too long, and your users are not happy with your service. Well, of course, it's just an example, and it might not be true for all cases. So a good indicator should point your thoughts into several different things. And I would say that the most important rule is not to start measuring everything. You need to see what's your users' perspective first, and then build your SLOs upon that. As too many indicators might actually create noise that pull you back from creating meaningful SLOs. So how to build your first SLO, as we already know what SLOs are and SLIs are. I would say there are 3 steps: measure stuff, pick a target, and start observing, and then evolve and adapt. And people learn in many ways. As you can see, it's a quote from Diet, but experience is the best teacher. So I would say start with something, take historical trend into consideration, and then just go with it. See how it does. So first, I want to measure the latency of my API requests as an example here from a real world, I guess. Then the second, pick a target. I want 99% of my API requests to finish in under 300 milliseconds. Again, this will be the historical trend taken into consideration. And then the third one, well, I don't think the initial target was realistic. It's not the most important endpoint, that the user might be just fine with 90%. And actually, it's doing more than fine. We can raise it to 95% and try to keep it that way. And I would say this is the SLO lifecycle that actually is the most realistic one. So you won't hit your target, like you won't hit the jackpot from the get-go. You need some time, and with your experience, your targets will also get better. For a quick intermission, we will tackle the error budget term. It's a quick intermission because basically there is another great talk here at SLOconf about error budget. So I'll point you to that, but it's still an important part of SLOs. So let's say that in a single week, you want 95% of your API requests to finish successfully with a 200 status code. How much downtime can I have? So this is 100% minus 95%, which is 5%. So in a single week, I allow 5% of my API requests to fail with a 500 status code. What should I do next? This would be the real life example. So 10,080 minutes in a week, 5% of that is 504. And this is your error budget. You basically accept those 504 minutes of potential downtime. And it's kind of a shift. So you allow your service not to be perfect, but to be good enough. So you allow those 504 minutes of potential downtime. If your service fails to meet this objective, you should try to make it stable again. So this is where SLOs and error budgets help you actually. If you get more than 500 minutes of downtime, then it means you need to work on your stability. Otherwise, you can focus on delivering features and being competitive in the market, taking features into consideration, not only reliability. And how to pick the right targets. So here, as Jim says, I believe there are a couple of rules. So SLOs are a journey, not a destination. So commit mistakes, learn from them, and keep trying. You don't have to be perfect. So again, experience is the greatest teacher. You won't hit the jackpot at the first try. You need to keep trying. You need to keep going, creating those SLOs, observing. And another part is that you should implement improvements your SLOs indicated were necessary. So if your API is too slow, you should most likely work on sorting that out to making it faster. I believe you need to make sure that your targets leave room for growth. So don't create too harsh of an SLOs because you might be stuck trying to resolve hundreds of bugs and not delivering any new features. So you stop being competitive, which is not good as well. I believe that objectives should reflect the reliability of a service. So don't overpromise, don't underpromise. Make sure your customers know what they can expect from you so that they can prepare their own expectations for it, basically. So if you share your SLOs with customers, don't say that it's 99.99999% when it's really a 95% SLO. Your customers might think you're more reliable than you actually are. And most importantly, think about users' happiness. So again, it's for the customer-centric SLOs. If your SLOs don't reflect what your users thinking, I believe you're doing something wrong, and you should basically revisit them and over time work on them. And key takeaways from my presentation would be that service level indicators are metrics that allow you to see your system from a user's perspective. Service level objectives, SLO, are nothing but target values for a service level measured by an SLI. And they help you to be good enough most of the time. And nothing is really perfect. So remember those things, and I believe it's a good foundation for an SLO-based approach to service reliability. And thanks for that. It would be it for my presentation. I hope to see you around. Watch some other SLOconf talks. They are great. And thanks again for listening. Bye.